Notes for my January 2026 reading of Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. Today is Sunday, 25 January 2026, and here I, Tanis, she, her, hers of Seattle, talk through my book and reading notes for my January 2026 reading of a book about creativity, with the author drawing upon her experience as an author/writer and in the publishing/writing industry more generally. Big Magic, Creative Living Beyond Fear by Elizabeth Gilbert. It was initially published 2015. This is the September 2016 Riverhead Books edition paperback, ISBN in the video description. I started the book on Tuesday, 20 January 2026 and finished the book on Sunday, 25 January 2026. It was 277 pages, including the About the Author page. It took me 6 days of reading, 40 pages Tuesday, 20 January, 70 pages Wednesday, 21 January, 50 pages Thursday, 22 January, 30 pages Friday, 23 January, 30 pages Saturday, 24 January, and 57 pages Sunday, 25 January. It's so the author, Elizabeth Gilbert, per what's in the book, because I haven't actually gone and read the book, is per what's in the book, the author, Elizabeth Gilbert, is the woman who wrote Eat, Pray, Love. I have not read that book as of when I filmed this video. There's just a general note, so she's kind of a... I know of Eat, Pray, Love, at least. Okay. I've read this book before, so this is not a first go round. And it's a book, I enjoy it. I give it a 5 out of 5, solid 5. I've given it a 5 out of 5 before. I'm just sticking with that. It's a little bit different perspective in terms of kind of magic and creativity. So it's about creativity and kind of like the creative process and that kind of thing. And I really like some of the elements that she highlights in here, such as fear, and kind of not tossing it aside, but actually working with fear to be creative, kind of working with constraints and working in terms of like repetition to get things kind of done. She kind of describes creativity in one sense of kind of like coming to a person, so kind of being ready to capture that. So then by repeating things and doing things kind of a lot, and kind of like when creativity comes, it can kind of like be funneled in and acted upon. I did, so those are some of the highlights. It covers a few different elements. It's full text pages, and then there's kind of like different sections that have topics like one is permission, one is enchantment, that kind of stuff. And then within that, there's sections. And then I did 3 flags, so I'll go through these. And they're kind of geared towards my cardiology self-experimentation, because I was like, there's a lot of stuff in here, and it's a lot of writing and like examples in the publishing industry or writing industry. So it's very much, if you want to know about like creativity in writing, this is a good one. Most of us have experience with writing in some form or fashion, if not other than turning in essays for class. So there's a kind of a basic knowledge base that a writer can appeal to. So these are ones that are, I'm like, can I pull it away from that a little bit? So page 85, quote, "She saved us trips to the doctor by patching us up on her own," end quote. So this is in reference to her mother. I was like, that's right. There are doctors in this world, but there are also like home remedies and people who are capable of doing stuff at home. And I'm a self-experimentalist. I experiment with myself in my cardiology. Cardiology is study of the heart, the human heart, the organ, and the corresponding circulatory system. Piping, arteries, veins, that kind of thing, blood. This is, yeah. So mine is kind of like, but I go into the doctors. So there's a little bit, it's both, but I do like at least attempt to conform to an authority figure other than myself. Yeah. If none other than for measurements. Okay. And making sure I'm not doing something that really negatively impacts my health, or at all, really. Yeah, okay. Ideally, but yeah, okay. All right, page 159. I thought this is a quote, "I do not know of any creative soul who does not dream of calm, cool, grass-growing days in which to work without interruption," end quote. I was like, yes. So this one, why I choose this? So this is I'm drawing this one with my low blood pressure journey. Low being the operative word. I have ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. The H stands for hyperactivity. I had optional medication, and which I decided to do for over 6.00 years, including the in-person therapy component about the psychiatry. And the medication, part of what it did, so it was Adderall or generic equivalent, is it treats, for me, the kind of the big thing was the hyperactivity. So what it did was it would kind of take the hyperactivity and be like, which I can do through, perhaps the best self-medication I do is exercise and a kind of balanced diet to address the H and make it mellow. But the medication, I've talked about like Sweet Sweet Loving and like Narnia Time and sleepwalking mode and stuff for myself. And there were a couple of occasions, I think there was like 6. 5 went to my Travis Kelce, 1 to my Gibran Cedar, that I got really, really, really mellow when I took Adderall. And we did Sweet Sweet Loving and sleepwalking mode. And so as a stay-at-home wife, that would be like Sweet Sweet Loving with my soulmates, taking into account my cardiology self-experimentation. If my guys want Sweet Sweet Loving in our routine, then perhaps a soulmate hierarchy to reflect that. My Travis Kelce and my Gibran Cedar potentially take the lead on this one, in that order. They are my Sweet Sweet Loving crazed sugar daddies, in that order. If they want a certain physiological response, like the mellow I felt with my medication, from me during Sweet Sweet Loving, then I can see if I can get that response and stabilize it as part of my self-experimentation. Spreads me out to food, non-Sweet Sweet Loving exercise, and Sweet Sweet Loving exercise. So currently I do food and non-Sweet Sweet Loving exercise in like waking mode. Don't ask me how the medication carried to like Narnia Time or sleepwalking mode. Okay. That'd be on me. But like I could, if they want that physiological response from back then in waking mode and without the medication, I do good in my treatment of my condition without medication now, and better than I ever did with medication. All right, then add in Sweet Sweet Loving exercise and kind of self-experiment to myself to have, so we can have that really good sex, essentially. Right, and then there's no medication potential like hiccups, like you're not supposed to get your heart rate up when you're on Adderall, like that was communicated to me from my doctor. I don't know about you, but that was for me for what I took. It affects the human heart rate. So just like better without, from my perspective, if I can do that. So self-experimentation. Then something that would have been an interruption, which this creative soul doesn't necessarily enjoy, is instead just part of my routine. So yeah, it can actually be routinized to allow for creativity instead of being interrupted. And then the last note was page 176, and I thought this was a great one. Quote, I never promised the universe that I would be a great writer. Superlative, swear word, it. I just promised the universe that I would be a writer. End quote. So I butchered that. There's a word in there that's a little different. But I thought, I've met people like that, you know, who forget that the seed that started it all, you know, they sowed that seed, let it grow, and then reaped it later, and they forget that the seed that was sowed was just to be something, not to be a great something, but just to be something. I was like, that's me with my surnames. It's not necessarily I want to be the best certain person with a certain last name. I just want a home in my last name. Yes. All right. So those are my notes for my January 2026 reading of Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert.